Cinch galls. There was a time where every horse I rode got a cinch gall. It was just inevitable. It was part of my world was cinch galls. And that's been quite some time ago, and to be honest with you, I can't remember the last time I galled a horse. And when I quit galling horses is when I finally figured out what galls a horse and why a horse gets galled. So there's a whole bunch of the world that says, well, you clean that cinch. If your horse is galled, it's because you got a dirty cinch. Nope. Never cleaned a cinch in my life. There's a whole bunch of the world that says, well, this material, that material, this material, that material. I do agree with that. All of my cinches are either mohair or horsehair. High quality made ones that last forever, and a good horsehair cinch or a good mohair cinch should outlast you. You should be able to give it to your grandkids. They last forever. But I was galling horses way back in the old days, even with good mohair cinches. So it's not the material that's doing it. The reason a horse gets cinch galled is because they're bracing against that cinch. And the reason at the time when all of my horses got cinch galled is because I never did a thing in the world to prevent any kind of brace whatsoever. Right? And this is just how I went about the world for a long time. Starting a colt meant you hobbled him and you got on. That was it. Maybe move them around a second, make sure they're not going to flip over on you. Don't get on with the hobbles. That's a bad idea. But so I didn't take any of the brace out of a horse. And so they continued to brace throughout their life, really. And they would learn to get unbraced in the face and to get unbraced in other places. But that brace against the cinch lasted forever and ever and ever. And so I galled everything. And when I figured that out and I realized, hey, Davis, you could take a few steps to kind of take some brace out of your horse and show them how this all works, voila, I quit galling horses. So if you've got a cinch gall, and this is not 100% of the time, no matter what, there's other reasons that horses get cinch galls. But if you're consistently getting cinch galls, it's probably because your horse is bracing its sternum and its rib cage against your cinch. So what steps do we take to prevent that? Well, one of the steps is when we start them, we get them sacked out. I use a literal sack, a gunny sack, and rub on them and get all that brace taken away. There's a lot of other steps that other people take, and sometimes I do too. You can take a rope, a lariat rope, and put it around their girth and pull it tight and loosen it, pull it tight and loosen it. And it's just a matter of, and dare I say this word, desensitizing? Yeah, because it's not really desensitizing. But it's just a matter of working with the horse and getting the brace to go away, getting them to relax. And that's where cinch galls come from. So if you're galling your horse, you need to figure out how to unbrace him. If you've sent your horse off somewhere and you know that trainer gets 15, 20 rides and then says, well, he's got a bad cinch gall, I had to give him 2 weeks off to heal. Well, it's because that horse got a lot of brace in him still. You may want to think about sending that horse to somebody else. But these are little things to think about. One of the things I've discovered in horsemanship is it's almost always the opposite of what you think the reason is for everything. So, yeah, well, okay, that's kind of not horsemanship at all. That's just life. Whatever's happening in life is probably the opposite of what you think is the reason for that. So anyway, that's something to ponder on.